Marking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Yeah, good morning. It's just another Manic Monday. How are you? That is BDST 1A, by the way. If Selma is 1, 1A is Susanna Hoffs, and it's, Manic Monday, Reaction Monday. So I felt like a little collage of Susanna. Probably be a little, more apt for her 1A status. How's everybody doing here on this Monday? Hectic times for yours truly. Good morning, Tootie. Good morning, SWVA. Yep. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. Anyway, let me get back here and hey, there you go. I'm sorry. I know. I'm not Susanna. Good morning, Tootie. Good morning, Thunder. Good morning, Steve. Tough loss for your jackets. Hey, Paul. Good morning. How are you? Hope everybody's doing well. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line and as well as our BDST Professional Door text line. A lot going on today. We've got Jermaine Ferrell at 6:30, and today it is Marty Smith, Steve Ragsdale. The whole second hour. What a way to start November. Their appearance brought to you by Farm Bureau. And then in the last segment at 8 o'clock, the Coach Phil Elmassian joins us. So, yeah, we're going to get a lot of really, really good football stuff and other stuff going on. Hey, Morris, from the big city and bright lights of Tokyo's Scramble Crosswalk. Hey, he's watching. He's watching at Tokyo. All right, now we're cooking. To the dim lights of Ron Shelburne's beloved Snowville Serenity, BDST is on the air. Well, that's great news, Morris. That means that he's indeed watching us from Japan. Hope you have a great trip. Remember, let's see how many subscribers you can get for us in Japan. Remember, tell them to like and share our channel content. I'm sure they're all into, American sports. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, yeah, we're loaded for bear today. A lot going on, man. A lot going on. Wow, where to begin? Virginia Tech. They take a 16-7 lead. Things are looking strong. And then they get shut out the rest of the football game, and they lose at home to Louisville. The offense completely went away from the Hokies. And kind of just a strange, very, very strange turn of events in that game. Tech's offense was very pedestrian, as Louisville won it 28-16. Again, they ran the ball very well, 235 yards, 7 yards per carry. Tech ran it okay as well. Kyron Drones, 11 of 24, 76 yards. He's just not a good passer of the football. So Tech sits there at 3-6, heading into a bye week. You know, they finish up. They've got Florida State, Miami, and Virginia. And again, you know, it's one of those missed opportunities, I think, looking back at that game. They controlled it early, had some momentum, took Louisville a little while to get going. But they are a good football team. Miller Moss is a steady quarterback. Defense made some plays. They even lost their number one running back, Isaac Brown, and then Kawan Brown ended up picking up the slack with a couple of touchdowns. So there's a reason that Louisville's 7-1, and there's a reason Virginia Tech's 3-6. Yeah, Drones missed a lot of – I watched the replay of the game. He missed a lot. He's just not a good thrower of the football down the field. That's just what it is. He's a terrific runner. He can do some RPO things. We'll talk to Phil Elmassian about it. But missed opportunity for Tech to, you know, gather a lot of momentum, and now they have a very tough final third. Maybe not as daunting as it may have looked a month ago, but still not easy. Hey, good morning, Opal. Thank you. Yeah, great lineup today. Great lineup today. Looking forward. I just sit back and just let Marty and Rags cook. That'll be from 7 to 8, and then Coach Elmassian, he'll cook from 8. Jermaine Ferrell, nice enough to move his segment to 6:30 today. Paul says, too bad Morse wasn't in China. He could be Jack Bauer. Great movie, by the way. Big Trouble in Little China is a terrific movie. I watched it a couple weeks ago. Some of Kurt Russell's best work, to be honest with you. Good film. Good film. So Tech trying to finish out the season. They've got all this going on with their coaching search. I'll tell you that what happened yesterday with Auburn officially does not help Virginia Tech with James Franklin. I'll tell you this. Virginia Tech has done everything right trying to get this locked with James Franklin. They have given Jimmy Sexton what they have asked for. They have everything in place to say, hey, go ahead and sign the contract. Let's go. And just call it. I don't have a direct any direct info telling me otherwise. I feel like the winds are starting to blow a little different direction. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this thing is about to be locked up and they're just waiting on, you know, he's finalizing some staff members. I don't know. But I know the Auburn job is one that's very attracted to him. I know that Hugh Freeze is a client as well. Sexton, he's out. So my best guess, and I got, you know, obviously I was otherwise preoccupied this weekend, but from all the text messages, my best guess would be if something's not wrapped up in the next 24, 48 hours, that ship has sailed. And I know it's going to be tough for many of you who had your heart set on James Franklin, but Tech is not the one, if it doesn't happen, and I'm not saying it won't happen at all. Don't get me wrong, but I think you have to be honest about how things have shifted a little bit, potentially. Tech has done everything right in trying to get this done. I do know that. They're not trying to play hardball. They have all this money. They were very open about their desire. And if it's not signed and if it's not a done deal, this is completely on Franklin and Sexton. This has nothing to do with Tech in terms of them, hey, hedging a little bit. So we shall see. Let me just say this. If we find out that it's not James Franklin, it's not the end of the world. Tech's going to get a good football coach. I believe the desire to have a bigger name maybe has overshadowed this a little bit. Maybe not in the minds of the committee, but definitely I think for fans. But I can't say that, Bruce and Bud are sitting there thinking, well, they're going to ignore good coaches just because they have to have a big name. But we'll see. Today could be a big day. All right, let's keep an eye on what happens later in the day today. All right. Good morning, Rodney. How are you? Morris says that Ragsdale man can do both, merge math and deception. He's a genius. Yeah, he is. Yeah, and Marty's respect for Rags is special. You can just see it. He just loves it. Marty's so busy, and he's been covering this whole Auburn thing. Not a surprise after Auburn just scored 3 points at home against Kentucky. But we said this a week and a half ago, even after I made my prediction about James Franklin to Blacksburg. And I gave you the information a little over a week ago that things were progressing, and they were, and they have been. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I lost my train of thought there, so I don't know what I was getting ready to say. But in any event. Prometheus, I agree. I think it looks weird from anybody from the outside, and you have to ask that question. I'm sure Jimmy Sexton's asked that question. He's been dealing with Witt, so he knows Witt. So maybe he has a little more understanding. But that is an odd situation. And Tech has done that to themselves. You didn't let go of the AD who failed football twice. You're saying he has a role and he's been dealing with the negotiations. Yet when that coach comes in, that AD, if he's still there, will have no say over him or control or overlook into anything that he does. That's odd. So do I believe it's playing a part? Yes. I do. I do. Bob Chesney, Anthony says, yes. I told you that 2 weeks ago. People were asking me directly, what do you want? Go down to Harrisonburg, bring back 2 people, and you will have fixed everything. Just watch what Bob Chesney and Matt Roan could do here. But I don't believe that's going to happen because of what I mentioned about the name, having to have a name hire. This would be the second time that a JMU head football coach, if it indeed goes that way, wasn't considered. And now we see what's happened with the other one in Indiana. Let me ask you, all right, let's just say, and we don't know at all, that things are not going to work out between Tech and Franklin. They might be ready to sign today, and they might announce a press conference for later today. Who knows? But let's say it does go in another direction. How many of you would be upset if they went down and got Bob Chesney from JMU? And all I have to say to anybody, and I have got a few people who said, I asked them, I said, well, have you watched James Madison play? They said no. Well, they've watched them the last couple of games, and they've watched them play Texas State. And now they're on board. Watch how well prepared that team is. And imagine that guy with powerful resources. Go look up his record. Go look how he turned over a Holy Cross program that has absolutely no resources whatsoever. And look how he's continued what Signetti did in Harrisonburg. And the thing that really impresses me, he started something early in the year with dual quarterbacks. It didn't work, and he trashed it and completely went to the other offense, and now it's soaring. All right? It's great stuff. Great stuff. I don't know who the top 5 candidates are. I can tell you that James Franklin in Tech has been in negotiations for a long time. I believe that Chesney's probably somewhere on their wish list. I know John Sumrall is a guy that they like. Alex Golish at South Florida is another name that gets brought up a whole lot. So that's where we are. College basketball starts today. Doesn't feel like it in any way, shape, or form, but it's here. Radford and Tech will play tonight. Not against each other, but 2 different games. I'll have the Radford broadcast against Western Illinois. And Virginia Tech will play host to a Big South foe, Charleston Southern, tonight. Tootie says Bob Chesney would be a great hire. Correct. And then if you could get Matt Roan to come with him, just get out of their way and let them do their thing. But, again, I think Witt set this up to where they feel like they have to change their MO because of the Brent Pry. One went behind the Brent Pry hire. Morning, Rick. Last week's question was, do you think college football is rigged after the Georgia-Florida game? It could be. Oh, there's no doubt that there are officials on the take in college football. There's no doubt. I say that with 100% confidence. As a matter of fact, Joseph, I believe the SEC found blatant fraud when they fired who was he? The 40-year official, the referee, when they fired him. I believe they found receipts. I believe they know, and that's why they got ahead of it. I really do. I still think there's going to be something to come from that. Morris says, world's largest city, Tokyo, 37 million people. BDST is a target market. You start anywhere you want, Morris. Tell you what, if you get the BDST logo up on the marquee there, then we're cooking. Big 12's getting screwed. Yes, they are. The whole rankings is just, it's absolutely ridiculous. Tennessee's still ranked. no good wins. They have 3 losses. The polls are everything's so skewed toward the SEC. It's just ridiculous. Thunder says, man, drop up a drop back, bring back the dynamic duo, and then get on with it. They'd have time for a Bucky stop too, yeah. Sometimes the simplest solutions are right in front of you, but whether it's your own creation or the creation of someone else, you don't make the right decision. And I'm not saying that they're going to make the wrong decision. I'm just saying I think a very good decision in all this would be Chesney and Roan to Blacksburg. It just seems very simple to me. Seems like a very easy fix. Now, we've already seen the ACC is not a good conference. Miami, wow. Why did we did. I started to fall for the banana in the tailpipe again. I did. Then to go to SMU, Carson Beck, the most expensive player that we know of on record in the history of this still very new NIL. Throws everybody under the bus except for himself, and SMU wins it. Coach Lasley just signed a big extension. They go out and beat Miami. Miami's not a contender for the playoff. They're probably not a contender in the ACC. And once again, Mario Cristobal, you have to start looking at that job and saying, Is it one that can be salvaged down in Coral Gables at this point? And I don't think the answer is easy to find. To be perfectly honest, I just think it's going to be one of those situations where you're going to be looking at this and Miami is just going to be Miami. They play in a horrible stadium. They don't get great crowd support. And let me tell you this, they have all sorts of money and resources, and nobody's ever going to question the talent output at Miami, but they do not come through. They've never won the ACC. They're not going to win it again this year. And now your quarterback's throwing your coaching staff, his teammates under the bus. It's just a bad situation. Bad situation. It's crazy. It really is. It really is. Anderson asked my top 5 Heisman. I don't give the Heisman any credibility anymore because it's just a quarterback award. But Fernando Mendoza will likely win it, would be my guess. It's going to be either Mendoza or the Saiyan kid at Ohio State, right? Between one of the two. That'd be my guess. It's a great point, Matthew. I hope they will do what's best for Tech and not what the national media think is good for Tech. Yeah. Your top 5 picks for the next curling championships of the Olympics. Now that I'm excited about. Yeah, the Heisman it's turned to nothing more than a whole ESPN creation. It's all quarterbacks, running backs. It's a 2-position award. And a lot of times the best players in college football aren't running backs and quarterbacks. Hey, good morning, Jermaine Swish Lewis. It's a great name. How are you on a Monday? Swish. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Family Fencing, our studios here in Reiner. Get a free quote, 540-200-8294 at familyfencingnrv.com. Thanks, Jason. Mark Hundley, McClellan Chiropractic, right off of Peppers Ferry Road. I know Big Al's thinking about going. Go. He will fix you in a hurry. Sponsor of our text line. Professional Door Incorporated, Route 100, right across from New River Community College, 38 years in business. They're looking for people. Walk in, go in there and see Travis Williams. They're expanded. They're so busy. They're so good at what they do. They will train you. You do not need to go in and say, hey, I already have this. I can do that. No, let them show you, and you'll be a garage door expert in no time. Thanks to National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. We will have another question, the Ryan Pry BDST fan question of the week. Haven't come up with it yet. Go see Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 540-553-2971. Each and every day, we're presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thank you so much to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl. They've been around for 25 years, 540-382-5525. We're going to have to get Ronnie Horton on here very soon. James Lawson, Mobile's Home Supply, over on 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give them a call at 540-381-8011. And here today, we want to welcome in a new sponsor here on the program. And it's the Ready Set Fund. There you go. It's the easiest and most productive fundraiser in your area. The percentage of profit has increased. It's a fundraiser that has no selling, no cash collection, no product, no door knocking. They already have a website pre-selected to help you go out and, for example, the girls softball team at Floyd County High School recently raised over $4,000 in a week with 20 girls, and all they did was send out text messages through the Ready Set Fund And this is money that you will receive in a couple of weeks. So if you need some help, give Bob Christ a call. His email is bobchrist, BOBCRIST, the number 11, BOBCRIST, the number 11, at gmail.com. The profit percentage has been raised to 90%, which is tops in the industry. Check out their website at readysetfund.com. So go check them out, and we welcome them to the program. There it is, readysetfund.com. So thanks, Bob. Of course, you know the name Christ, Dave Christ, Michael Christ. Yeah, that family. So we'll tell you more about that. What a great way to go out and help local high school, whatever you're looking for to help out your programs. And Ready Set Fund's a great way to do that. Let's see. Where are we here? Yeah, looking forward to Marty and Rags as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up. So I'll just say watch the skies today and throughout Tuesday. If nothing happens today with James Franklin, the longer it goes, it feels like it's going to be more of a slow play now with Auburn officially open. Maryland came open yesterday. We're not done. Michigan State's going to come open. Looks like Wisconsin's going to come open. Not that, he'd be interested in that, but you're going to have more and more openings. And I don't know where all these coaches are going to come from. I have no idea where all these coaches are going to come from. A lot of G5 guys salivating because they're going to get opportunities. A lot of coordinators are going to be considered. It is going to be a flat-out mess. Best programs for player development in the country. I think Ryan Day at Ohio State, he gets a lot of good talent, but look at what they've done specifically at the wide receiver position. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. He's one of the best. Ryan Day's like 77-10. And people in Columbus want him out because he lost to Michigan more times than he should have. Where does Manny Diaz go? I don't know. Manny Diaz done a nice job with Duke. Kind of gone under the radar, right? He was at Miami, realized he couldn't win at Miami. Miami's just a culture that's not working anymore. Don't blame it on resources. Don't blame it on recruiting. I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I did it. You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe? I did it. I did it once again. Marty and Rags coming up at 7. That gentleman is Jermaine Ferrell from WFXR. Finest high school football coverage locally. Anybody in the area. What's up, Jermaine? Thanks so much, man, for moving your time a little bit today.
Oh, you're welcome. Good morning. I mean, obviously, we have Marty Smith and Coach Steve Ragsdale. I mean, that would bump anybody out. So, I mean, you got some tall timber there and then Phil Elmassian. So, I guess I lead off.
Yeah, you're the leadoff. You're Ricky Henderson. You're setting the table.
I'm Willie Mays Hayes.
There you go. You're going to pop up and do push-ups at home plate.
Or I'm going to slide into second and miss by that much. Come on. So.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, man, where to start? My goodness gracious.
Yeah, a
lot going on. All right, well, let's go back to the Tech game. I mean, it's 16-7, and I'm on the road and I'm following. I'm like, okay, all right. And then you look up at the end and they don't score again. They lose 28-16. What were some of your thoughts about the Hokies?
This seems like Virginia Tech this year they haven't played well in the second half. They've had sparks here and there, but just that consistency in the second half. I mean, the offense completely just shut down. I mean, hardly no offense in that second half, and that's hard. You're playing Louisville. Louisville made the adjustments in the second half, and they did what they had to do. But, yeah, it's just a tough loss for Virginia Tech. And, right now they're 3-6. So, in essence, they'd have to win out to be bowl eligible. And that schedule's pretty tough when you look at who they got coming down the pike. So, although the Florida State game, they get a bye week this week. They got the Florida State game. And you never know with Florida State. I mean, gosh, they're like a Dow Jones or up and down. Yeah. The last game, against Virginia, it's going to be a hard one. So, we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, just a tough situation right now, Virginia Tech. But yeah, offensively, they just struggled in the second half. And, really in the first half, it's not like they really lit the world on fire offensively either. So offensively, just a struggle. Defensively, I thought they played well, for the most part. But then if you're not getting any help on offense, it's hard to ask a defense to keep stopping the team. So that was really the tough thing right then and there.
I mean, Kyron Drones had a lot of opportunities he missed. I mean, it was his poorest day, I think, statistically as a quarterback. They ran the ball okay, but boy, when you can't do anything at all, stretch the field, it just limits so much what you can do. And
yeah,
bye week's coming right back at you, right? So time off here to get it fixed for the last 3 games.
Yeah, and then you get the bye week and another bye week to work things out. So it just seemed like they just had a bye week. Seems like now colleges get 2 bye weeks now during the season. Yeah. You kind of like it spread out a little more. Maybe you would have one earlier in the year and one a little bit later. But, I mean, they seem like they've just come rapid fire for Virginia Tech, back-to-back bye weeks. But, that's how the schedules are set up, and you just roll with it.
The other team from the Commonwealth in the league, first place, Virginia Cavaliers, 31-21. Now, I thought that was an impressive win. I thought maybe they'd struggle a little bit going on the West Coast, but they didn't. They jumped out early. Chandler Morris was terrific. They ran the ball. That was a really strong performance, I think, by Tony Elliott's team going across the country.
A lot of people a lot of people thought that Virginia would lose that cross-country trip, but just something about this team this year, nothing's really fazed them. And the irony is you look back at, the NC State game. I mean, everybody says what's a non-conference game. I mean, if that was a conference game, then they would be bunched in with all these teams with one loss. So, right now Virginia's looking really good to win the league. And well, not win the league, but at least clinch a spot. And heck, I mean, I misspoke, but actually it's not out of the realm of possibility they could win the ACC championship. I mean, in the championship game. I mean, right now, record-wise, they're doing so well. I mean, they still have you got Wake Forest this week. And then, obviously they get a bye week before they play Virginia Tech. Still got Duke on the schedule. So they got 3 more games. And, I wouldn't put anything past them to get a win. I mean, win out, and if you win out, I mean, you want to handle your own business because pretty much Virginia controls their own destiny when it comes to the ACC championship game. If they win out,
that's right,
they're in. But if you lose a game, then you're bunched in with a bunch of teams with 1 loss. And I mean, the tiebreakers, I don't know if you have enough time. We need a Radford professor in mathematics to figure all that out. But basically, if you just win, just like Al Davis says, hey, just win, baby. The late Al Davis, you keep winning. And these are games they can win. I mean, you win. I mean, Wake Forest, Duke and Virginia Tech. So if you win those games, and here's what's crazy, someone's got to go to the college football playoff too, right? So why not Virginia? But obviously, if they went out, I think they have to win the AC to get in because you get a spot. I don't know if, let's say, they get to the ACC championship game and they lose. I mean, do they still get an opportunity for the college football playoff? It's hard to say because the metrics, but if they went all the way out, and it'll be interesting to see who they play in the ACC championship game if they get there. Because I mean, it could be a Georgia Tech. I mean, it could be, a Louisville. I think Louisville's only got 1 loss in the league. So I mean, there's a lot of and they beat Louisville. So the only team they haven't faced yet is Georgia Tech. So that'd be an opportunity there. But yeah, Virginia is really playing well, and this was the year. I mean, you look at Virginia Tech with Brent Pry, this was a big year for him. And obviously he was let go, tough start. And then when you look at Virginia and what they've done, I mean, they're starting to build something, get momentum going. So it's really an impressive look when you look at what Virginia has done this year. And kudos to what Tony Elliott and that crew has done. I mean, they're a program that deserve the fruits of their labor is Virginia.
Well, and to your point, Jermaine, I'm looking at it right now. You got 5 teams with 1 loss, right? Who knows how this thing's going to play out in the ACC? You're right. I don't think there's any chance they get anybody but their champion in. It's going to be. It's so undecided. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. There's so many. The last third of the season is going to determine a lot, but it is crazy right now.
What's the word you use? A quagmire? Is that your word?
Yeah, that's a quagmire. That's a quagmire. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Hey, we have hoops starting tonight.
Yeah, got a little basketball.
That's crazy.
We got Virginia Tech and playing a Big South opponent, which you guys will see later.
Southern.
Charleston Southern, which you guys you'll see. Then Radford gets it going, and so college basketball. It's just weird to talk about it right now. I don't know if you're really ready to talk about it. I mean, typically for us, when you look at, like, I'll use WFXR coverage for example. I mean, we're deep in high school football. We're deep in college football. So you really don't get into the basketball mode to maybe the end of December, kind of, sort of, maybe in December. But right now, heck, the NBA's already started, so basketball is going. But and then you don't. The interesting thing I noticed about college basketball, you really don't have a lot of. Your earlier games are not, with college football, right? College football, you have a marquee game right out the gate. But with college basketball, they tend to do that maybe around Thanksgiving, maybe a little bit later. They really don't start off, like, you don't see, a top 10 matchup off the top.
Very seldom.
And usually it's because, hey, to get the teams established. But at least one thing I do love college basketball, what they do compared to college football, you have preseason games, you have scrimmages. Whereas college football, they don't do that. And to this day, I don't understand why they don't.
I don't.
You can tell me they can't schedule a game against a preseason game or scrimmage or whatever. But that's one good thing about college basketball is they can do that and really rock the scene. But Ryan Odom era gets going. I mean, and then you look at what Virginia Tech and all the transfers and all they got going. I mean, is this the year they can kind of get that show going and rocking and rolling? And then, of course, a new regime at Radford at your place, with the new head coach.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun time, but it's so early for college basketball. Still,
I know.
We still have a lot of stuff going on with football and all the fall sports and everything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll fall into it more games that I see, but yeah, I'm in the same mode. It's like, wow, basketball. I mean, I've been hearing the balls dribble for all summer and all through the fall, but man, now it's here. But what about football? We still got football. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Little pigskin action.
Another weekend, another Power 4 job is open. Actually, two of them now. Maryland and Auburn pulling the trigger yesterday. Jermaine, I think we have 14 major openings now. This is beyond madness what we're seeing, and it's a direct result, I think, and Coach Elmassian's talked about it, of this era, the new NIL era in college football. The patience is even thinner now than it's ever been for these programs. It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember, and I'm using Hugh Freeze as an example. It was when it was his last game really at Liberty, and everybody was talking about, he's going to go to Auburn. And the thing is, I think the expectation was for him to rock the scene. I mean, he had success in the SEC, and then last 3 years he had a losing record. I think it was 15-19, and 6-16 in SEC. But again, the SEC is so tough. That's the thing. It's like you got to look at these jobs and your path. Now, everybody wants an SEC job. Everybody wants to succeed, and Auburn is one of those schools. I think we mentioned this before. I mean, when you look at the fan bases, and I'll read them out. I mean, you got the expectations are high at Oklahoma, Texas, Texas Tech, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. Those are schools that they expect to not only win the SEC, they expect to win the Natty every year, and it's so hard. So those schools have expectations, whereas you have certain other schools in the SEC. I think even you could put Arkansas in that mix too. But then there's certain schools like a Missouri, a Kentucky, a South Carolina. Expectations, if we do okay, that's fine, but it's okay. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, those schools are kind of in that bracket. Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt ranked 9th in the country. They killed for that. And then, lose to Texas, which was a game they should have won. They had the lead.
Yeah.
And so that's really the thing when you look at it's like the expectations are so high at these schools. And if you don't get the ball rolling early, after 2-3 years, they're going to let you go. And what's crazy, Maryland again in the Big Ten. I know. it's hard. It's hard. Like I said, Maryland chased the money, give it up for them. But when you look at Maryland and you look at, okay, the problem is you have like a Kirk Cignetti who went to Indiana and he's number 2 in the land, rocking the scene, could win the Big Ten. I mean, obviously it's it's between them and Ohio State. But, I mean, people look at certain schools and say, okay, if this school can do it, why can't we do it? Like, I mean, that's what people look at. They could, like, down in Auburn, they'll probably say, okay, I'm looking at Indiana. They get a certain coach. And it's also about the matchup and the chemistry of the coach and the school. Can this coach have the success? And what Phil Elmassian said, the great coach Phil Elmassian said this. He said, okay, look at the track history. Now, Hugh Freeze has had a history of success. It's not like he hasn't won. But
right.
Those 3 years at Auburn were tough. And maybe it wasn't a good fit for him at Auburn. Maybe he needed to go to another, school like that. But, it's tough. And then obviously with all these schools, the pool of coaches for Virginia Tech to pick is really not that deep. Because now you're like, okay, you're going up against some of these other schools that want, their coach. So that's another layer to it. Every opening that pops open, you never know. And there are going to be others. I mean, Rick, you're going to have they're still talking about Florida. Heck, they're talking about South Carolina. I mean, the SEC, more than half of the league might be gone with their coaches.
Might need coaches.
And guess where people want to go? They want to go to the SEC. And they want to coach down there. I remember Coach Shane Beamer said, hey, if you don't want to come here and play these top-ranked teams every week, that's on you. But, I mean, the challenges are so strong in the SEC. So, a school like a Virginia Tech playing in the ACC, you might look at that and say, okay, we can compete in the ACC. The path of getting to a playoff or a college football playoff might be easier through the ACC than the SEC because guess what? I mean, half the league's going to be ranked. Yeah. They're going to take up a lot of spots. They're going to take all the oxygen out of the room. So,
I know.
I mean, so they're going to do everything they can. And the like I said, SEC is tough, Rick. I mean,
we're at $200 million in buyout money right now being paid. When you add all the coaches together, think about that. Let that sink in. $200 million. Wow.
And I mean, these are huge buyouts. So now you're going to have these coaches, and like I said, they're going to be coaches that just were released from a position, or you're going to have coaches that have just been sitting on the sidelines. So, and then like everybody wants Lane Kiffin. He's at Ole Miss.
Everybody wants
LSU, and I even heard talk of Tennessee.
I know, I heard that yesterday.
Trying to get Josh Heupel, trying to work out a buyout for Josh.
Buy him out at the end of the year, and they want Kiffin because Kiffin's apparently been telling his agents that he wants to go back to Knoxville. So
Rick, they're a ranked team, and they're talking about buying. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's either if you're not winning, everybody's ready to get rid of you, and it's just crazy. Like some of these coaches. Sadly for Hugh Freeze, I mean, I guess I understand performance. And like I said, losing record, so that makes sense in some regard. He still could coach. Solid coach. I mean, I remember him at Liberty. He was always open to us in the media, very receptive and very nice, regardless of all the extra stuff that people talk about. But the respect that you have for these coaches, I mean, they make a lot of money. And at the same time, they're let go. They have the golden parachute, so they it's not like a bake. You're not gonna have a bake sale to these coaches. It's not like these coaches are gonna be hurting for money, but it's a pressure business. And if you don't win within a short, and it used to, like I said, Coach Frank Beamer. I mean, he had all the time in the world. Nowadays, it's like, okay, you got to do it in 3 years or less. You better rock the scene in 3 years. And obviously, you look at Virginia. I mean, we circle back to them. I mean, heck, if Tony Elliott's struggling this year, he'd have been gone. But he found now the thing is he's got to continue that. I mean, okay, you have a great year here, but you still got to build on what you've done. So you just can't have one good year. You got to have multiple years. you got to win and keep winning and winning and winning, because these boosters, these fans, they want to win, Rick.
I know.
Play it simple.
Well, it's going to be fascinating. And Jermaine, we again appreciate everything, man. Great stuff. Coach Elmassian telling me, by the way, on text how much he's enjoying your commentary just now. It's great. And you and I will finish up high school football this Wednesday, the final week of the regular season, and we'll go over all the points and playoff standings and everything else, man. It's going to be interesting.
It's a lot going on, and it's I tell you, these teams. I mean, we got a lot of good matchups coming up this week. I mean, you talk about teams that are fighting for seeding. And then there are teams that are fighting to get in, and there's so much going on, and it's going to be fun to see what happens with all these teams. And of course, it'll be neat to see Marty Smith and Coach Ragsdale. Give my best to that dynamic duo, because
I will.
You talk about a power hour. Marty Smith and Coach Ragsdale. I mean, you should just have them on for 2.5 hours. Because in fact, you take the day off.
I would
go for 2.5 hours.
I would. If we could get them that long, that'd be great. That'd be great to have the whole show.
And Giles and I tell you right now, Giles, they're looking good this year. They're back on top of the regional rankings. I mean, it's going to be a battle between them and Craig County for that top seed. But two schools, by the way, that have embraced the single wing in Giles and Jeremy Haymore, kind of implementing things, helping out, with the Bandana Express, implementing that at Craig County. I mean, I know they lost this past week to Narrows. No shame in that. But the single wing, I mean, they're going to be a problem. Those two teams are going to be a problem in the playoffs, along with so many others. But, we'll talk about that down the line.
All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right. Appreciate you as always, sir.
All right, brother. There you go. Jermaine Ferrell with WFXR. Best high school football coverage around. Appreciate him as always for joining us. Thanks, Coach Elmassian. Good to see you. We'll talk to Coach Elmassian coming up at 8, by the way. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. To Jermaine's point, I don't know what we're going to do about all these job openings. It's just madness. Is anyone ever going to win at Maryland in the Big Ten? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. No. Tebow says drones can run, but his passing skills severely lack, and he still makes horrible decisions. Yeah. He is what he is at this point, playing his last few games in college football. He is. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. We will. We'll see how it all plays out once we get a little closer. But it's – I mean, you're looking – they're still saying 7 or 8 more major jobs could come open before – right after the end of the season. And then I don't know what we do. I really don't know what we do. It's going to be bizarre. Going to be bizarre. Yeah, I did see that. Ron Shelburne just, Marty got a big shout out from Lane Kiffin on Twitter yesterday. That was great. We'll have to talk to him about that a little bit. Coach Ragsdale and Marty Smith coming up here in just a little bit. So we'll get you queued up for that. All right, let's go through our sponsor list really quickly here before we start our next segment. Phil Elmassian at 8 o'clock, by the way. He's queued up and ready to watch Marty and Rags, so it'll be great. Family Fencing, want to thank them sponsoring our studio here in Reiner. Get a free quote, 540-200-8294 at familyfencingnrv.com. Go see Mark Hunley at McClellan Chiropractic right off Peppers Ferry Road in Christiansburg. They will crack your back in all the best places. It's great stuff. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams up in Dublin, Route 100. Like you're headed toward Parisburg to see Coach Rags over the mountain. 38 years in business, and they need workers. Just walk in, give them a call, walk in, and just say, hey, I understand you need help, and talk to Travis. I want to thank National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST, my exclusive bank for the last 35 years. Thanks to the attorney Ryan Pry, West Main Street, 701 West Main Street in Radford. We haven't come up yet with our BDST fan question of the week, but we will. Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Call them today. The weather's getting colder. Don't be caught in a freezing home. 540-553-2971. Each and every day, we're brought to you by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller. Got to get those guys on with us a lot more. Today, we welcome a new sponsor, the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. Go see them. It's a website that already has a pre-selected text message that you send out if you need to ask for donations for instance, your local team. Floyd County did that for their softball team, raised over $4,000 in a week. Reach out to Bob Christ, BobChrist11, BobChrist @gmail.com, ReadySetFund.com. Go see them. Go see James Lawson at Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. He is located right here in Christiansburg, and they've been doing it a long time. 300 North Franklin Street, 540-381-8011. And the NRB Super Bowl has been serving the NRB for 25 years. All right. So a lot going on here on the program. And Harvey's GM in Radford, go see Brad Harvey. I bought my last 3 vehicles there. So go see him. Go see him. I'm going to go ahead. I see Coach Rags is in the house. Let's go ahead and get Coach Rags on. Hey, Coach, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Good morning. My eyes are actually open.
You look great, Coach. You look absolutely outstanding.
You're the best liar in the world, man.
By the way, we want to say, speaking of new sponsors for this segment, that Coach Ragsdale, Marty Smith, presented by Farm Bureau. So we're very excited about that. And Coach, how you been, man? It's been a little while. Been a little over a month since we last spoke with you.
Yeah, it's been good. I spent 2 weeks in New Jersey at my daughter's. She and her husband have two little babies, and one's about 2 years old, and one's was born in April. So my wife and I have been up there for 2 weeks during October, and so yeah, everything's good.
It is good. It's always good to see you. Let me ask you, just you still, I know you follow college football. Well, we wait for Marty to join us here, but what do you think about all these openings that are coming open? I mean, it's just crazy what's going on in college football.
Yeah, I don't even know if I know what to say. I've always thought some of these firings are during the season. I don't particularly like that, just in general. I mean, I'm sure every situation is different, and requires one thing or another. But I've never liked firing a coach, 2 or 3 weeks into the season, unless there's extenuating circumstances for starters. And then beyond that, I don't know what the process is and all that type of stuff. I'm a high school coach, teacher, so I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and all these, big time athletic programs. So I'll just leave that up to the people who hopefully do know what's going on.
Well, it's a crazy, crazy time. And I know 1st of November has to harken back a lot of memories for you, right? When that weather has turned now, we're going to have a nip in the air every Friday night into Saturday. And how much do you think about playoff time when you were coaching, when it gets down to this part of the year? I know Giles having a good season as you get ready to finish the regular season, and the postseason, that second season begins.
Well, when I was coaching, it was always like your last regular season game was in usually the first Friday in November. And if you could still be playing over the Thanksgiving break, then you knew you had a very successful season, because at that point you would normally be playing in the state semifinals. At that time, you played a total of 14 games. They've increased that to 15 games now, which personally, I don't like that either. I think that's, you'll see these scores in the first round of the playoffs, and it's like 60-0, and, those types of scores. And I don't see the reason in playing one more week of football to get beat 60-0.
Right.
then travel halfway across the state or wherever. And I hearkened back to when I was just a little kid and my dad was still coaching. At that time, there were 3 classifications in the state of Virginia. There was 1A, 1B, and I don't know what the lowest one was, but it was and at that time they played 1A, 1B rather, and the division below that, I guess that was 1C. I'm not really sure what it was called, but there was no playoff. You played, and I'm talking in the early 60s now.
Uh-huh.
You played 9 regular season games with 1 open week, and when it was over, you put the equipment up and got out the basketballs, and the big schools like Jefferson High School in Roanoke, which no longer exists, the ones that were in 1A, they did have a playoff. And I don't know how that worked. I was just a little kid. So it seems like over time, everything gets bigger and bigger and longer and longer. Well, I go back to my dad again. When I was growing up, like, a grade school kid, and he was still coaching, practice started August the 15th. Period. Okay. You got the equipment out, went out. They would go out at that time. My dad's teams, they go out and do their calisthenics, get warmed up, and then they'd start running their offense.
That's right.
First morning in pads, and they would run every play that they were going to run the entire season, everything they had, first day. And of course, they had 2-a-days then. Yep. Which when I first started coaching, we did the same thing. But later on, we would we changed things a little bit because, you go 2-a-days, you go early in the morning to avoid the heat, and then you go later on in the afternoon, and the kids leave and come back, and you take up their whole day, So what we did, and I think probably a lot of other schools did too, we started practicing it's say 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go for 2.5 hours. I say that they probably ended up being 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But on paper they were supposed to be 2.5 hours. Then we would have the kids bring their lunches in, just pack them a bag lunch, and we would put them all in a cooler, and I had a little pickup truck, and we'd drive that up. Our practice field is up above our game field, so we would drive up, their lunches up there. And so as soon as we finished at 10:30, 11 o'clock, the kids would take off their shoulder pads and go over and sit in the shade. We had a row of pine trees. Marty can he can relate to this. They'd go over under the pine trees and sit and eat their lunch and drink Gatorade and whatever they did. And the coaches.
It was not Gatorade. We didn't get no Gatorade.
What's up, Marty?
Them kids that came after us might have got Gatorade. We got some old garden hose water about twice a week.
Yeah, there you go. And the coaches would go over in the corner and discuss the morning practice and how terrible we looked. So, and then we'd go and we had our hard practice first, and then after that we would come back and go over like our kicking game and stuff like that, more learning than, hitting and that type of stuff. We do our heavy hitting, so-called, in the first practice. And then the second one, we would do things that you need to work on and learn and everything. But that wasn't quite as hard as the morning practice. But I go back to, like I said, when my father was coaching, they started August 15th, ran every play they were going to run for the year. 2 weeks later, they'd have a scrimmage. By that time, it's September, start playing. You know, now it used to amaze me. I'd go to the clinic every summer in July, and they would emphasize, be careful with heat. You don't want one to have a heat stroke and die, which my older brother, 5 years older than I am, almost did when he was playing in the early 60s. And so I'm glad they emphasized that and gave us information on that. But at the same time, I was thinking, why are we starting the 1st of August if you're so concerned about heat stroke? I mean, it makes no sense. You know, wait, if you're so worried about heat stroke, wait a little later to start practice. And you don't have to play 15 games to win a state championship. You can figure out who the best team is, probably, and well, you can certainly do it in 14, which is what we did, but probably even less than that. By the time you get to the end of the season, the kids are tired of football. They've been doing it for August, September, October, November, and now a couple of weeks into December if they go all the way. I mean, that's like 5 months. Okay, I'm off my chair now.
Oh, man, I love it. All right, so I got a couple thoughts.
Start now, okay.
Good morning, Marty.
First of all, gentlemen, good morning. I love you both. I'm grateful for you both. It's awesome to spend time with y'all. All right, we're going to start with hydration, I guess. So I will say that during two-a-days, which Coach was referencing there, he's so right. Our morning practices were so intense. They were very intense. And Coach was always so good at reaching us at the emotional level that we were as 17-year-old farm boys, that the most difficult opponent that we're going to see all year is right here on this practice field with you. And that has to be the standard. Now, it was hot. It was very hot. You know, I can remember going out there because that first week, Coach hated that first week because we had to be in them shorts and we'd be walking around in them little booty shorts. I mean, you talk about ridiculous. And these were team issued shorts, Rick. Like, we didn't wear our own shorts. We had to be uniform here.
All
right. And they were these red shorts that had like white piping around the shorts. And they were so short, there was damn near some wardrobe malfunctions for some of my teammates.
I'm sure.
Not all of us. I can tell you that. Some of us. But we would do that week, and I can remember going out there, and I remember the emotion even today. I would have so much anxious energy in that first week of practice because you go from the doldrums of summer where, you know, we all threw hay every day. That was our summer job. But you were kind of doing what you wanted to do other than that. And then the next thing you know, you're shocked directly into structure and very specific high demand structure. And so I remember I remember the dew on the grass because we'd go out there at dawn. Now we weren't lollygagging around until, 10 o'clock in the morning. We were out there early and knocking the crap out of each other. But throughout all of that, I will tell you, Coach was ahead of his time with hydration. We had this, I don't know if it was, I'm sure like the shop class probably put it out there and dropped the water line in the ground or something. But we had this row of spigots that was probably what, Coach, 8, 10, maybe 10 different fixtures.
Right.
Yep. And we'd open that thing wide open and there'd be 8 guys underneath there just trying as hard as they could to get as much water in their gut as they could get. And then we'd go right back at it. But we got multiple water breaks. Coach was very smart and ahead of his time with that because it did matter.
Well, let me throw something in there. I talk about my dad a whole lot. When he was coaching, now listen to this. The big thing was salt tablets. you had to take your salt tablets, man, and they guzzled down each player 2 or 3 salt tablets, which was the exact worst thing you could do. And, later on, they started, telling you when I was coaching, hey, don't give them salt tablets, man, you're going to kill them. And it's hard to tell across the country, how many kids died from heat stroke because of that. And
was that supposed to prevent cramping or something? What was the use of that?
Yeah, well, I guess, the idea was you're doing a lot of sweating, so you're secreting salt from your body, and you need to replenish that, I guess. But you didn't need to take a bunch of salt tablets. It was doing just the opposite. Yeah. And I'm not a doctor or anything. I don't know how that goes, but all I know is at one time they were taking them, and then they said, hey, don't do that. You're going to kill somebody if you're not careful. And like I said, my brother got in a scrimmage at Marion one year. Some of the other players came off the field and said, Coach, hey, my brother's name's Stanley, said, Stanley's acting crazy out there. There's something wrong with him. They ended up taking him to the hospital and stripping him down and just pouring water on his body to try to cool him off and give him make him drink everything he could drink. And thank goodness he recovered okay. But, times have changed along those lines, which is good. Thank goodness.
How did you react when Dave Christ, I don't know if Coach Chris is a VHSL Hall of Famer or not, but if he ain't, he should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is.
So how did you react when he comes to you in the fall of 1980 and says, hey, man, I just happened to be going to Thanksgiving in Northern Virginia. I'll go scout this team you're going to face for you. That was such an unbelievable gesture. What did it tell you about the New River Valley community of coaches? And what impact do you think that had on the game?
Well, I laugh because there's several things there.
I know.
Dave Chris is a gentleman for starting.
Great man.
Yeah. And I tell you, things have changed a lot, I think, and maybe not for the best. When I was growing up, you were taught sportsmanship. Regardless of what sport you were playing, it was you play hard, you play fair, you play by the rules. You don't break the rules to your advantage. You treat the other team and players and coaches with respect. I can remember my dad saying, I wouldn't mind seeing my sons play for any coach that we play against, because I admire all those other coaches, and then, so anyway, as far as Coach Chris goes, he was a gentleman. When, we played them early in the season every year. And I always liked that game because it was a measuring stick for us, Blacksburg was like the rest of us. Some years you're better than others and all, but we knew every year that Blacksburg was going to be a tough game for us. Okay. And it gave us a chance to go back and evaluate on film what we looked like and go from there. And I think it made us a lot better over the years playing them early in the season. But when the game was over, win or lose, Dave Chris was going to meet you at midfield and you were going to congratulate each other. And what I did every single game of my coaching career, I said the same thing at the end of the game. Coach, good game. See you later.
No long conversations, Coach. No long conversations. So just
I mean, I said, "Hey, great game." Shook his hand, left the field. Then I expected our players to do the same thing. If we win, I don't want you doing somersaults and all that stuff on the field. You did what you're expected to do. Okay. Yep. So, and if you lose, you act like a gentleman. You don't go crying around and go out and start a fight or something like that. And this stuff before the game, you'll see the two teams coming out, yelling at each other. Get on your end of the field and do your thing. And the other team, get on your end of the field and do your thing and act like you're supposed to. So anyway, going back to Coach Christ going to scout for us, he's from up in that area, I think Madison County up there, up above Charlottesville. In fact, Coach Williams and I went up to Madison County, and because Blacksburg used to go up and scrimmage them, and then they were single A, but they were year in and year out good. Okay, and of course Blacksburg was double A, and anyway, he was going up there for Thanksgiving, okay, because that's where he's from. His family was up there and stuff like that. So he volunteered to scout for us. I said, "Great, man. I really appreciated it. I heck fire. We had never. This was my third year, and we had never been even sniffing at the playoffs. Okay, so I didn't really know what you did when you got into the playoffs, and so he volunteered to do that. I thought, great. And then Sunday he came back home and I went over to his house and he gave me his scouting report, and we went from there. Now, one thing about his scouting report, Alan Pinkett, who scored every point for Parkview Sterling against us in the state championship game. He personally scored 32 points. We outscored him by 1 point. Okay. And he ran crazy against us. Of course, he went, and that was his junior year. Then the next year he had a big year. After that, he went to Notre Dame and set every record in their record book on rushing the football. And I don't know if he's still doing this, but at some point, he was also their color man on their radio broadcast.
Yes.
Like I say, I don't know if he's still doing that or not. And then he went on to the Houston Oilers and played in the pros. So, I mean, he was a super player. Well, he had injured his ankle or something, I think, somewhere along the line. And he wasn't a big factor the week before we played them. All right. The guy that Coach Chris emphasized was their quarterback. All right. Well, we stopped their quarterback. He didn't complete a pass all day. Not one. Okay. Wow. He was 0-4. But Pinkett had about 500 yards. I'm exaggerating, but
I think he had 280 or something like that.
That probably sounds about right. I mean, he just ran crazy. And the last they scored right at toward the end of the game. There was just like a couple minutes left in the game, and we were up 33-32. And of course, they went for two. They went for the win because I mean, we couldn't stop him. All right, and thank goodness we stopped him on the 2-point conversion. And the way we did that was one of our defensive tackles. We would always we ran a base at that time. You didn't see spread like you have now. Okay, so we ran a base 5-2 with a strong safety that we called our Spartan. Okay, and he moved around depending upon where the set, what kind of set they were in. Okay, and we did a lot of slanting and everything like that out of that 5-2 defense, and I loved that, man. It worked great. And but when we got down next to the goal line, or the opposition got down to the next to the goal line, we go into a 6-man front and go from there. And so we were in our six-man front goal line defense. So it was essentially a 6-5 defense. Our safety man would be up in there tight. And
basically 9 in the box. And two cornerbacks out there on islands just don't get burned.
If they got wide receivers, and if they're not, then you got like almost 5 linebackers in there. So we were in that. And we still had the ability to slant out of that if we wanted to or not. And so one of our defensive tackles was slanted to the inside gap. He's lined up, head up on the tackle, and he slanted to the inside gap and penetrated a little bit into the backfield, enough to where he was kind of down laying on the ground, okay, and maybe on his hands and knees, I don't know, but you know, we had them submarining. They were playing low down there next to the goal line, because my philosophy was, let's make them do something that we have a chance to throw them for a loss, perhaps, okay. And that would be, how do you do that? Well, my idea was, we want to make them go outside on a run. That way we've got a chance to maybe get somebody up the field and throw them for a loss. Excuse me. Or we want them to try to go over the top, dive over the top. That gives our backers a chance to hit them in the midair and knock them back. Okay. And then the other way is force them to pass the ball, because if they do that, we've got a chance to at least knock it down and maybe even intercept it.
Yeah, we're going to pick that mess off.
So we're going to take away everything, hopefully, from between the ends. Okay. Right there, and make them go outside, over the top, or pass the football. All right. So get back to Park View. All right. So our defensive tackle, he penetrates, and of course, what do? They're going to run Pinkett off tackle.
No doubt.
He's been killing us there all day long. All right. By the way, I think you get down on the goal line, I think the best place to run the ball is off tackle. All right. Not between the tackles, but off tackle. And the reason I think that is because they probably got a defensive end out there that, is not quite as big and all that stuff as those inside linemen. A little easier to move. Okay. Plus, you're not going in there head on against these guys, like in college ball now. I don't know how big their defensive down line are, but they're
300 pounds.
So you're going in there at a slight angle, and so those linebackers in there that are trying to tackle you are probably going to be taking you on at a slight angle, not straight ahead. And so it's kind of a glancing blow, and maybe you can get through that, even if we don't get everybody blocked. All right. And of course, down there, they got an extra man in there because they're like us. They move people up. And there's some things I think about when I think about this. So anyway, I'm getting off track again. So they ran off tackle. Well, our defensive tackle, who was laying on the ground, just lunged over and stuck his head out, and he caught Pinkett's leg as it came through with his head. All right.
Wow.
And that tripped him up enough to where our backers by that time had converged on him and our defensive end, and were able to stop him short. If our defensive tackle had not made that effort, and I'm not naming names here because, I kind of want to stay away from that, but he knows who he is. If he's listening to this show, because his head's probably still ringing from that lick. But anyway, and then by that time we could converge on Pinkett and bring him down, and which we did. But there was still a minute or 2 minutes, probably about 2 minutes left in the ball game, and I knew if they got the ball back, they were going to win, because we could not stop Pinkett. Before that extra point I'm talking about, he'd just run about a 50-yard, down the sideline and score. So I knew, hey, we got to have a first down. We had to have one first down to eat the clock up, game over. And, in my mind, it was like, give it to your best player. And our best
Wing 44,
our best player, but he was certainly our top running back. And we had good backs. Greg Mance was one of them out there. I'm naming people, but I shouldn't. Why
not? What's the aversion to naming people?
Yeah.
I don't know. Barry Farmer's the tackle that stuck his head in front of
It's the greatest endorsement. What you have to understand from our perspective, everybody that played for you is like Barry Farmer or Greg Mance or Tyrone Meadows or Leon King or Greg King or Curtis Woods, all the way down the line, all the way down. The fact that any of us would live in your memory and in your heart that way is the greatest endorsement we could ever have. We could not be more full of pride and more full of fulfillment as somebody that played for you than for you to remember us in a certain context that's positive that way. So name them all, by God.
Greg says hello, Coach. Greg just said hello to you in chat, by the way. Rodney Landreth, who everybody knows, right? Coach, played for Pulaski. Greg Mance says a big hello from Loris High School.
Yeah, he's down there at the
10-0. We just took him to 10-0.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Great. Oh,
Greg, tell Greg to write in that chat what it means to you to know that special time in your life where we're all so impressionable. And now, of course, Coach Mance has done such a fantastic job at multiple stops being that person for all of those young men as a mentor and a leader. But I would imagine that other than his daddy, there's probably not another male figure in his formative years that he would be more proud to have made proud than Steve Ragsdale. All right, write it in the chat, Greg.
There you go.
Let me say something there, Marty. And I mean this. I may get emotional here about this.
I live for that.
I literally loved the kids that played ball for us. And I try never to use the term play for me. They weren't playing for me. They were playing because they enjoyed playing whatever sport it was, football or basketball. Okay. But I had a special place in my heart for those boys. They were boys at that time. They like to think of themselves as men, but they're not. They're boys. Would come out and play either football or basketball. I for about 10 years, I was the head coach of both. Okay. But particularly for football is tough, man. I mean, we're talking about these 2-a-day practices and out there in the heat, and it's rough and it's everything. And I had the greatest amount of respect for you players who came out and played and put up with me and whatever went with being a Spartan football player. And I use that term a lot, Spartan football. Okay. And I got that from, I'm venturing off now, okay, on sideline, but I got that from Vince Lombardi. I used to read every book I could find on Vince Lombardi. I've got a whole shelf full of books on or by Vince Lombardi upstairs on my bookshelf. All right. And because he used the term Packer football. Okay. And this was in my when I first got started early on as being head coach. And I thought, man, I like that. So I started using the term Spartan football, not Giles football, Spartan football. Okay. And if you recall, at the end of your playing career, if you were a senior, we would give you the mesh jersey. We wouldn't give you your game jersey. I didn't like doing that. But we would give you one of those mesh jerseys that you wore on Friday to school, okay, to the seniors. And on that, it had Spartan football.
And our number on the back.
Not Giles, but Spartan football. And we must have sold thousands of these lightweight, you probably got one yourself, red jacket.
Oh,
and
yeah.
on the back, in script, it has Giles, but it doesn't have Spartan football on it.
Yeah, only we got those.
Only way you got those was to come out there and go through that 2-a-day practice and make it to the end of the season. Now, you couldn't drop out somewhere along the line. You had to go the whole distance. And if so, Spartan football. And we didn't give them to JV players or 8th grade players. The only way you got one of those was be on the varsity, Spartan football. All right. And I learned that. I love that terminology. And
we did not, unlike a lot of schools, to Coach's point, a lot of schools their players will wear their game jerseys to school on Friday for the pep rally and for all the pomp and circumstance and beautiful tradition that is their respective program. We wore our game jerseys on Friday night. That's it. We didn't wear them anywhere else.
You did. You wore them on Thursday afternoon.
Oh, that's right. We wore them in
because when we went out and practiced on Thursday, I wanted you. Well, we didn't practice hard on Thursday, no contact or anything, but we did our exercises, and so we got down on the ground, and I wanted those game uniforms to be a little bit dirty on Thursday, so that Friday night people weren't standing in front of the mirror, admiring themselves on how good they look.
I forgot. You're right.
I wanted them thinking about the game and getting ready for the game. So I wanted them to get that game uniform. We wore our game uniform out to practice on Thursday.
We did.
The reason is I wanted it to get dirty. Okay. And all right, so go ahead, Marty. I interrupted you.
No, but hey, look, I needed to be corrected right there. That was a very important correction. So I will tell you though, Coach, those mesh jerseys that were distributed to us with Spartan football on the front and our respective numbers on the back, we didn't take those home. They were turned back in after we wore them because Coach didn't want us wearing those except for to school on Fridays.
Right.
And so when we were able to wear those, like I can't describe to you what walking through the halls on Friday was like as somebody who had that shirt on. You feel like a Titan. You're a Spartan. As the great Stevie Steele always said, we are the Spartan men. and we are built different than they're built. And we felt like kings wearing those things around.
All right, let me throw this in. Every successful sports program, but specifically football, because again, it's a rough, tough thing, okay? And but every successful program is, in my opinion, based on you've got to get a feeling in your community. And this is extra true in small communities like ours. You have got to get it so your community is backing you up 100%. When I first started coaching, well, I did this. We did this. I had you could have money raisers. You had as in the school you could have two money raisers. Okay, and ours was two things: putting ads in the football program, and the second one was selling apparel. Okay, like jackets and shirts and that type of stuff. Okay. All right. So when I first started, probably after my first year, because we didn't win but 2 games my first year. We were 2-8. All right. And those guys that were sophomores on that team and got beat to death, and I think I talked about this on a previous show, they were seniors by 1980. And they had been there for 2 years. And so they had grown up, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, the whole works. All right. Because we were starting like 5 sophomores my first year. And I mean, they were getting the snot beat out of them out there. Okay. By guys who were bigger and better. All right. And it's just that simple. Okay. And, but anyway, I'm getting off track there a little bit.
It's all right, man.
You've got to build an atmosphere in your community that playing Spartan football is important. It's important. Okay. I go back to, all right, when I first started, our coaches, I would take the majority. We would have about, I think it was maybe 100 ads in our football program. And I would do 50 of them myself, and then I would take the other 50 and assign them to a coach. Like, hey, you got this 10, you got this 10, you got this 10. Okay, so that would cover the whole thing. Well, I went into this one, and we had the best support. I was talking to a guy the other day, a gentleman older than I am, I think, and he was getting his one of the books that about that 1980 season. He wanted me to sign it for his daughter, who was in school at the time. Okay, he was going to give it to her for a Christmas gift. Okay, so he was a great supporter, man. I told him just the other day, I said, I appreciate you so much, because I never came into your store and he was a successful businessman, all right, in the community. And I said, I never came into your store asking for money that you didn't just pull your checkbook out and write me a check. Doesn't even think about it. And we'd talk, and whatever, and then I'd move on. But I went into this one store, and one of the workers in there said, why should we buy an ad for your program when we're just going to get beat anyway? I remember that to this day. And that was like 1978 or 79. That's been a while back, but I remember it. Okay. And I didn't say anything back. I just turned and walked out the door, said, thank you for your time, something like that. That kind of goes along with my thing at the end of the game with the visiting coach, the opposing coach. Hey, you just whipped my tail in, but good job. Good game. Okay. I just whipped yours, but good game.
Good game.
Okay. So thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. And go on to the next thing. All right. Well, that changed over time. And that took some work and effort on our part. And it took a change of philosophy on my part. And I may have already talked about this. If I have, please stop me. Okay. But when I first started, my concept was if they want to play, they'll be out here, you know. So I'm not going to go beg them, quote, unquote. I'm not going to go beg them to play. Well, Vic Edwards, there's a name for you, who was one of our assistant coaches. He said, now, Coach, now wait a minute. Let's think about this a little bit. We're starting from scratch. We got to do things to try to get those kids out here to play. All right, we can't just say, hey, come on out here if you want to. We got to go. We got to recruit. People think, oh, well, recruiting is just for college athletics. You got to recruit in high school if you're going to have a good program. I'm not talking about just a good season here and there. I'm talking about a good program year in and year out. You've got to recruit, and you got to do things in the community that make it so the kids want to come out and play. All right. And there's a spectrum there. I mean, some guys, they love it. They love the contact. They love the roughness of it. They just eat it up. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there's guys that, you know, they could kind of take it or leave it, really. Okay. But they want to be part of it because it's important to the community. It's important within that school. They can walk down that hallway and, hey, they're a Spartan football player. There's that term again. All right. And I'll tell a little story here. I may have already told this. I had a kid in one of my math classes. He sat on the front row. Great kid. Never played football. Never played anything. All right. But he sat on the front row. He did what I asked him to do. He studied. He worked hard. He wasn't Albert Einstein, but neither was I. Okay. So we got along good. And so I know I had Coach Williams and Coach Kelly would always make me a list. I'd get them to make a list. They taught PE, and I'd get them to make me a list of prospective players, kids that they thought could make good football players for us. And I'd take that list and I'd make sure that I talked to everybody that was on that list, you know, that wasn't already out there playing. And I might even talk to some of them because some of them may not be, you know, they may not come back. Well, anyway, I called this kid out in the hallway. I said, hey, so-and-so, and now I'm not going to call his name. I really think you could make a good football player, and I'd love to have you out there. Now, I never put pressure on kids. But I wanted them to know, hey, I would love for you to come out and play football, and we think, can be a good football player. All right. I mean, I didn't just want 100 guys out there running around that weren't capable. I always felt like if I could get the best 15 seniors and the best 15 juniors, that's 30. And then I could put 5 sophomores with them, and that's 35 kids. And I don't need any more than that to have a good football team. I don't need 50 of them out there. Now, we had a separate JV team, which, you know, if they've got 35 or 40 and we've got 35 or 40, then we're talking about 70 or 80 kids from grades 9 through 12 playing football. That's pretty darn good for any place, all right, big or small. And then we had 8th graders in our school. So we had an 8th grade team. Well, if we had 25 out there, say for 8th grade, we'd have 100 kids playing football. All right. Anyway, getting back to this kid. So we go over to play Christiansburg. All right. And they had a good team that year. And we were playing them early in the season. And this kid I had talked to in class was our starting nose guard. He came out his first year as a junior, and this happened a lot for us. He came out as a junior, and he didn't know squat. He didn't know how to get on a stance, didn't know anything. Well, that's our job, teach him, okay? Part of that teaching was to put him over there at nose guard against our 9-man.
Get his ass kicked every day.
Okay, where he was going to get killed every day.
Every damn day.
Okay, and so he was over there every day, never missed practice. He's over there. Ball goes to the right. God, he chases it till he gets over there. Goes to the left, he chases it. Okay, we go over to Christiansburg. They had a good team. Quarterback goes back to pass. All right. Throws the ball about 30 yards down the field. He catches it. He fumbles. We recover. Guess who recovers?
The guy running after the football.
Our nose guard recovered it. Because what he did was he started rushing the passer, and they were blocking him. We didn't know this till we got it on film and looked at it, we being the coaches, over the weekend. He was getting blocked. He wasn't real big. Our nose guards were never real big because we want somebody in there who we were slanting. I said earlier, we ran a 5-man front, and we slanted out of it. And so we wanted somebody in there who was quick, that could beat that center and force that guard to block him. So in essence, he was taking up two people. He was taking up two people. And if he wasn't, and they ran in the direction he was slanting, he was going to make a tackle in the backfield. That's the type guy we wanted in there. And if they were running away from him, he could redirect and give us some pursuit. Okay, so he's getting blocked on this pass play. They throw the ball down the field. When he was getting blocked, he decided, I ain't doing any good getting blocked. I'm going to go. He turned and ran back down the field. He was down there in coverage with our secondary.
But that's what
recovered. Our nose guard recovered the fumble. Now, that's a true story.
Yeah, but it's also what was beat into his head every day.
Well, yeah.
We were taught every day, all day long, run to the football.
Oh, yeah.
We want 11 hats running to that football.
Well, we don't want them running too fast. We don't.
I know we got to set the edge and all that stuff.
we don't want that offside end taken off.
I know.
And here comes a reverse.
I know.
Around the end. I talked about this last time. I watched, over the weekend. That one of my things I like to do is watch football on TV. Okay, I see the same mistakes at the college level and at the pro level that I saw on the high school level. No difference. Okay. All right. You're responsible for that quarterback, on the option. So they run an outside dive type play right at you. And what do? You step down in there, and here goes the quarterback keeping the ball around the end. All right. Okay. You're responsible for any kind of misdirection if the ball goes away from you. So here it goes. Everything's going away from me. The back, the quarterback, they're all going away. So what am I going to do? I'm going to forget my job and go do my thing. Guess what? Here comes that little speedy end around the end there that you were supposed to be at,
And these days, too, with all these RPO offenses today, there is so much jet sweep motion. It's very much like 41. It's not dissimilar to 41 at all because, or 47 or any of that motion that we do with the single wing, all that jet sweep motion is the exact same thing. They're just coming from the slot versus coming from a 3-point stance on a wing. But the misdirection of it all the eye candy that makes our offense so awesome is being utilized so much now with hiding the football and with faking the football and with all those design quarterback runs that come off of that motion. All of it really is a derivative of Curly Lambeau and daggum 1932.
Pop Warner.
Pop Warner. Sorry, Pop.
Pop Warner was the guy who invented the single wing at the school for the Indians at what's the name of the town? At Carlisle, Pennsylvania. All right. I don't know if I've told this story or not.
You probably made a pilgrimage up there, didn't you?
Well, to see the Washington Redskins practice. Okay. That's where the Washington Redskins used to do their summer camp before the season started, was in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
I forget the name of the school, small school, Dickinson or something, maybe like that.
Dickinson College, I think.
Yeah. I went out there to watch them practice one day. But you're exactly right, Marty, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm seeing more and more trapping linemen.
Yeah, man.
In pros and in college. Okay. They went for a while. They were doing this, what do you call it? Zone blocking, zone blocking, where everybody, all these linemen, they're all moving in the same direction, and kind of picking somebody off as they go along, which I never liked that because I saw it and I see it on TV every week. A lineman will go do something and he doesn't do anything. He never hits a soul. And if he does, it's just a mush, what we used to call a bump. We used to really grind this into the kids. Bumping ain't blocking. Bumping is bumping. You bump somebody and turn around and look at the ball carrier, that ain't blocking.
Funniest thing ever. The funniest thing ever, man, would be when Coach Ragsdale or Coach Kelly would get all pissed off at some lineman, and they'd do this move right here. They'd go, this ain't blocking.
Because it ain't blocking, okay. But I'm seeing more and more now, and it's the best block that there is in football is a trap block. All right, at any level, I don't care what you say, it's the best block there is. And with us, we weren't that well. We had a couple of teams that were fairly big, up front. But for the most part, that 1980 team, we had one guy on our offensive line that weighed over 200 pounds. And that's it. But they could move. They were tough. They could hit. They could block. And I would always tell them, in our offense, at the point of attack, we have got at least 3 people versus 2 of the opposition, because we're going to double team down on one defensive lineman, and then we're going to trap the next man over to the outside. That's 3 against 2. And I'd tell our linemen, hey, I don't care if you don't weigh but 150 pounds, and that guy down there that you're going to block with your buddy here is 250. Let's see. You're 150. Your buddy beside you is 150. I'm a math teacher. 150 plus 150 is 300. All right. And guess what? You got 4 legs, not just 2. All right. And that always got me too. I go to these clinics and they talk about, you got to get your hands on that guy. Get your hands on him. Well, guess what the strongest muscles in your body are, where they're located? They're located below your waist, okay? Your hips and your legs. That's why, they all do squats. But you can make your arms stronger, but your arms will never be as strong as your hips and legs. I don't care what you do. Any sport, golf, hitting a baseball, them guys, they're strong in the hips and legs. Jack Nicklaus, look at pictures of him. He was big in the hips.
He was.
Okay.
Still is.
Try shooting a basketball sitting down. Sit down on the floor and see if you can hit a three-pointer. Because you can't use your legs. To shoot a basketball, you got to use your legs. It's not just your arm, your forearm, and your wrist. It's a whole body thing, starting with your legs. Okay? So I tell them, hey, you two ought to beat that guy down there, and we expect you to do it. And so
I love it. All right, so
on that topic, but
this is, I love this, man. It's like a time machine for me.
It's great.
Yeah. All right, so I got a couple things.
All right.
The first thing is, Coach was talking about that galvanizing the community and how you're playing for something bigger than yourself. And that was very palpable for all of us. We all knew it. And there's that moment that I shared in my book when I was talking about us winning that state championship in 93, where during two-a-days, I'm leaned up against one of them blue steel posts between the locker room and the ag building, eating a mushy-ass peanut butter and jelly sandwich that somebody's sweet mama took a lot of time, might have been mine, took a lot of time to make for us. Might have been Miss Patty. I don't know. One of the mamas made those sandwiches for us, and it was between two-a-day practices, and I was leaned up against that post all by myself. And Peter Janey, who's one of the greatest Giles Spartans of all time, the toughest dude that he was the toughest dude that I ever played with.
Yeah, he was hard-nosed.
I mean,
we had a bunch of them.
Think about this, though, Coach. I think Peter ran a football 34 times for 123 yards, 3 touchdowns, and had like 15 tackles in that state championship game. He was everywhere all the time. And when he got to where he was going, Peter had bad intentions. Sidney Chappell, number 11, the quarterback for Lunenburg Central. By God, he woke up Sunday morning going, man, that number 41, he knocked my head off 13 times yesterday. Anyway.
Yeah. You finished?
No, not even close.
Keep going.
So
keep going.
So I'm leaned up against that post, and I remember eating that soggy peanut butter sandwich. And I just was like, man, screw this. I can't do this, man. I hate this. I can't keep doing this. What am I doing this for? I'm out. And Peter, God love him, was sitting right across it wasn't a hallway, but it was like the sidewalk that had an overhang that led from our locker room to the agriculture building.
Yeah.
And Peter was just grinning and laughing. And he goes, shut up. You ain't going anywhere. And I was all spitting, and Peter goes, we ain't playing for us. We're playing for our daddies. We're playing for the town. Shut up. You ain't going anywhere. Sure enough, we finished them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, grabbed our helmets, ran back up on that dadgum dirt patch practice field. No offense, Coach. And we went back to practice, and that is so sweet to me, that moment, because it was hard. It did demand a lot of us, that those who weren't doing it weren't wired like that. And every one of us has carried that with us for the rest of our lives. And okay, I'm still not done. On that note, this is going to take a minute, all right? Rick, we may even go past time. I don't know if you have breaks.
That's okay.
You have to hit.
We got Coach Elmassian. We're good. We're good.
Tell you what, he's got another tough nut coming on that. He's got a tough nut coming on his show after us.
Hey, we'll throw Coach on with us if he gets on. Absolutely.
I remember when he coached over at the Tech. And,
you can put him up here too.
Yeah, we'll throw Coach on. Yeah, absolutely.
He's tough nut. All right, go ahead, Marty.
I asked and have continued to ask a lot of my brothers with whom I played Spartan football to sit down in solitude and ponder. And after that ponderance, detail for me what Coach Ragsdale means to them and what Spartan football under his direction was to them. And so I'm going to start today, and again, this is going to take a minute, with one of my dearest friends, somebody with whom I grew up, bled, sweat, cried, won, lost, not just games, but parents and things in this life that are so precious. Stevie Steele. Growing up as a young boy in Giles County included a variety of choices. Who do you hang out with? What sports teams do you support? Are you a sports car or jacked up truck guy? Are you a leader or are you a follower? How do you fit in with the Parisburg Townies when you grew up on a farm in Newport? Do you believe wrestling is real? And the list goes on and on. One thing that was not a choice was whether or not you played football. Texas probably has the corner on big football, but Giles County's not far behind. We started in the 4th grade in the local Little League dynasty. Full contact with helmets that didn't fit and cleats selected from a box of hand-me-downs that were left from a group of kids that came before us. The coaches picked all the kids up along the way to the practice field, as many parents were working late shifts at the local Celanese plant or simply trying to keep the lights on. We learned early that this was a way of life. And the stories of Spartan football glory that we heard as children quickly quieted any doubt or fear that tried to sneak in on our way to each practice. At the root of the Giles football dynasty was a man named Steve Ragsdale. I first heard his name as a 5-year-old child from both uncles, Philip Steele and Mo Ratcliffe. They were a perfect example of how beautifully unbiased the Ragsdale Spartan football program was. One uncle was from Curve Road, the rough part of town, and was not to be messed with. He'd go on to be an Army paratrooper and come home to work at the local lime plant. The other was more refined and softer, studious, and would later become a lawyer and work as the local Commonwealth's attorney for Giles County. Both spoke of Coach as the single most influential person in their entire lives. As a young boy, every story and experience with my uncles included a story about Ragsdale. My dad was a Little League coach for the eastern part of the county. We started on our way to practice from the Craig County line each afternoon and began picking up kids all the way to the practice field in Pembroke. We rode in the back of a truck and told stories, laughed, and lied about the girls we allegedly kissed. What we didn't talk about was our parents. Rich or poor, fancy house or trailer, banker or janitor, none of that mattered. The one thing that brought us all together on equal ground was that we were all future Spartan football players. We all knew someone in our life that was a Spartan star, and they all came from every walk of life. We all knew that no one in that truck had any better chance than the other based on our home life. This was the heartbeat of the Spartan football program. The tougher the home life, the better. As I worked my way up through the program, I only saw Coach a few times in Little League. He was always in the press box for every Little League game. watching his next group of bandana boys grow and learn. I never really appreciated it until later in life when I realized that he'd already taught math all day, coached, and watched film before spending 3 hours watching kids hug on each other and run around in slow motion. He was all in and had a full program in place that would prove to be successful for decades and decades. I worked my way up through the ranks and was lucky enough to be tapped as a varsity football player in the 10th grade. That's an honor. I soon learned that Coach was the scariest person on earth. He demanded your best and literally foamed at the mouth with fury when you didn't give 100%. He never expected more than you could give, but he always knew when you were not giving all. Every kid had a different skill level, but effort was his gauge. I played in the secondary as a 10th grader. All of the other players were tight, and I was a new kid on the block. We had real two-a-days back then, which included a 3-hour practice in the morning and a 3-hour practice in the afternoon. We got 2 hours for lunch, and I had to beg for a ride to Dairy Queen, and that was successful only every other day. We got a water break before and after each practice and once in the middle. You knew you had to fill up at each water break, which resulted in a distended stomach full of water sloshing around as you ran back to that asphalt practice field. No offense, Coach. It was asphalt. That asphalt practice field, half of us puked up the water before we ever made it back. It was always the same players. Coach orchestrated a practice that was equal to the training that Navy SEALs endure. He pushed us to the brink of exhaustion and then pushed us a bit further, knowing that at some point we would need the grit that he was developing. As I developed into a young man, Coach was developing the core that would carry me through many trials and tribulations in this life. The following are things that molded me into the person that I am today. At the end of each practice, Coach always had us kneel in the practice asphalt end zone. I love that he keeps calling it asphalt. And he would talk to us like men. He always told us to keep our noses clean, stay away from things that would get us hurt, and to eat good food. I remember him telling us that his mother was getting older and had just had a hip replacement. He told us that life would not always be easy and that we'd lose people we love, and that would be okay. I've never forgotten that, and he was right. Coach was the best math teacher I ever had. He taught in a way all the kids could learn and never left anyone behind as long as you were giving your all. I'm a civil engineer today because of him, and I've been able to raise and support my family because of what he taught me in the classroom and on the field. We only lost to Naras once in my career. It was at Naras, and as we were leaving on the bus, he told us, never forget the way this feels, that we had the feeling we had at that moment, and to use that to make sure that, by God, we never felt it again. We didn't lose again to them for 10 years. Might want to fact check that, Martin, but I'm pretty sure it was a long, long time. Couple more things here. My father thought Coach should have been playing me in a different position. He came in the locker room and walked into Coach's office before practice one day. I knew I was getting ready to get kicked off the team or run laps until I died. Coach told my father to get out of his office and stay out of his business. I had never heard anyone talk about him that way, that being Mr. Steele. Coach never treated me any differently or said a word about it, ever. Let me see. There's all kinds of stuff here, but I want to find the one. Coach was the hardest working person I have ever known. He taught by example and poured everything he had into the program. His wife and daughters graciously shared him with us. His wife was and is a very attractive lady. I have to tread lightly on this story, but it's a damn good one. During one of our few water breaks, we were all loading up the stomachs with water, and the track is in plain view from the watering hole. We noticed a good-looking female walking on the track and began whistling and carrying on at this young hottie. She turned around and waved with a real big smile. It was Coach's wife. We all knew that was our last day on earth. We never heard anything about it. A couple years ago, my Uncle Mo lost his fight with addiction and took his own life. Coach came to the funeral service and was inconsolable. He told me that all of us would always be his children. He was and is the father that many of us never had or that most of us needed. That strength that we needed, the teacher of math and of life, the consistency and love that many of us longed for. And finally, in the end, we learned a valuable life lesson from Coach. Monday through Thursday, we beat the absolute hell out of each other on the field, double teaming and crushing each other. Bloody elbows and knees, infected from the poisonous asphalt practice field. We had concussions, broken fingers, and a lot of tears. When Friday night lights came on, the other teams that had been prancing around in shorts never knew what hit them. We were tuned up, mean, and ready to destroy. We put in the work, and the rest took care of itself. We are the Spartan men.
Wow.
Wow.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's great. Let me just say that makes me feel, you don't know how that makes me feel. But I looked, Marty, I looked at all you guys as it said, you know, I've got a wife and two daughters, two wonderful daughters, and a wonderful wife. She's fantastic. And twice as good looking as I am. Of course,
from what
I can tell you, I fact checked that. That's an accurate statement. That report is accurate.
But I always looked at you guys that played football. You were in a separate category from me. You know, I loved you, really. I mean, love. I don't use the word like. I liked you, but I loved you. And not only that, but I respected you. And at the time, you didn't know that. But hearing something like what Stevie wrote, and well, Stevie is a great example. You know, he practically had his knee refigured. I forget what happened to it.
Tore his ACL
early on, but he had, you know, he could have easily dropped by the wayside. He was a really, really good player for us. But no, he wanted to be out there and be part of it. And that's what you got to build. You got to build that type of environment. And so I'll close with that.
Yeah, there was no, for us, there was no other answer. For us, Spartan football was part of the thread that held the Giles County fabric together. It was the hem on the Giles County fabric. And for all of us, it wasn't just a rite of passage. It was an expectation. And it was an honor beyond words to be one of those kids, I use that word kids, who made it through your program. And to Stevie's point, all of us had stuff. All of us had things going on in our personal lives at home. We all had different home lives. All of us had different levels of means. But no matter what divided us away from football, no matter what socio-political lines that was, no matter what our religions were, no matter what race we were, no matter what our income was under our roofs that our mom and daddies were killing themselves to keep the lights on, whether they worked in Pulaski or Virginia Tech or in Celanese. When we walked between those lines, we were all the same. And the only thing that mattered was doing your job to the best of your ability, the way you were taught by Steve Ragsdale and Rusty Kelly and Jeff Williams and Ricky Lee and Jack Ellison and everybody that we played for. because we were playing for all them people like Arnold Tickle and Leo Smith and all them train horns and all them cowbells and all them bandanas. And it was everything, man.
Well,
and thank you. You are a father figure to us. Were then, are now, and every one of us still wants to make you proud every day. And I'll never forget, man, how it felt when we got when that. You know, I'm so sorry, Coach. We're taking up so much of your time.
Oh, you're fine.
And I promise I'll shut up after this. But I remember distinctly state championship game. Coach was talking earlier about sportsmanship and how that was drilled into our heads all day, every day. We're going to win, and we're going to hit them in the face, but we're going to win with class. We're going to be classy men and respectful and respected men. And I'll never forget, Lunenburg Central had this running back who was fast as lightning, Michael Hurt. He wore number 5, and he went 80 to the house on the 3rd play of the game. Well, way late in the game, they ran this wheel. We'd gotten up on them, and they had to start thinking about passing the ball a little bit, and they'd run this wheel route, and that Michael Hurt came out the backside of the formation and ran right down the backside in my third, really my half, because we were cheating up so much with the offside of our defensive backfield. And that quarterback threw it, and I just happened to get a finger on it, and it was an incomplete pass. And I helped that number 5 up off the field. I helped him up off the ground and hit him in the helmet, smacked him on the ass. Good effort. And I got back to our huddle, and Byron Sargent, who was a certified lunatic and still is, one of our defensive tackles that was, crazier than a bleep house rat, was cussing me out, like cussing me in a way I'd never been dog cussed in my life for helping him up off the field. Because we were on the precipice of delivering a state championship, and we don't like them right now. We're not nice to them right now. And that was such a funny juxtaposition for me between, all right, maybe screw sportsmanship right now. I don't know, but anyway, the life lessons you gave us, Coach, are everlasting for all of us. And Stevie said it so beautifully, and we're also full of gratitude for you forever. Thank you.
Well, Marty, you don't know how much I appreciate that. And as I said, I've got a special place in my heart for all you young men, at that time boys, who played for us. And I never use the phrase play for me. I don't like that phrase, because you weren't playing for me. You were playing for yourself and because you wanted to play football. And but one other thing is, I always felt like, and I talked about this once before on this show, that any athletics in high school, in public school, need to have some kind of benefit beyond high school. There's got to be some kind of teaching benefit to have sports in public school. Otherwise, they shouldn't have them. Okay. But I think that message you read from Stevie, backs that up. I think sports are important and good. So I'm going to shut up and let a real expert, Coach Elmassian, talk. All right. And Coach, I want to say this to you. I used to come over and watch y'all practice when you were the secondary coach over there. And I always had a lot of great respect for you all, and particularly you. I think you're kind of old school, off the old school tradition. And so I always had a lot of respect for you. And Jeff Williams, Jeff was when I retired, Jeff took over for me, and he walked on over there and was coaching.
Yes, he did.
And I know he thinks a lot of you too. So I'm gonna shut up and let a real expert.
Don't let these guys go. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, Coach. Yeah,
great.
Welcome, man.
Don't leave it, Marty. Marty, I can appreciate everything you went through. I played for Hank Norton at Fairham Junior College. So I know Coach Ragsdale and Hank, they came out of the same mold. We couldn't wait for the games, and practices were so hard.
They were.
The games were just too much fun.
But it's the beauty. It's the beauty of the game, Coach.
Don't make no mistake about it.
When
our warm-ups were bull in the ring and arm circles. That's how
well, at the end of every practice we ever have, Coach would go, all right, we're going to line up one-on-ones. One-on-ones. And I hated one-on-ones. We had to line up in a three-point stance and just knock the crap out of each other for like 45 straight minutes.
You know what's sad, Coach, and I know you'll appreciate it, the players today, they don't experience this. And the greatest thing about Marty, that when you played and I played and coached, it was, the stories are all true, but they're so memorable.
Oh, yeah.
And what we went through, the players today, I feel sorry for them. They'll never experience that, what you had gone through with Coach, and I went through with Coach Norton.
I say all the time, and then I'll shut up and let Rick do his job and, actually get some.
Great. I've enjoyed this as much as anything. The reason why I found Rick, you two guys were on about like 4 weeks ago. I'm listening to Coach and you, and I'm walking down memory lane.
Yeah.
It's like I'm taking a walk down 460 along the New River.
I say to these young men all the time, coaches and Rick, because having the incredible blessing of, working on College Game Day and being in the SEC all the time. And some of the coaches have asked me to come address their teams. And I always say to them, in the NIL era, college football has become so transactional. When you're in a pay-for-play moment with unregulated free agency, you may only have this guy for 5 months or 6 months of your life. And all of you guys are going to go on and you're going to do amazing things. You're going to get married someday. You're going to become a father. All of you guys are going to become incredibly successful professionally, whether you're one of those 0.4% that make the NFL or not. But you're never going to have today again. You're never going to have the collegiate atmosphere, because even those of you who go to the NFL, it ain't the same. It ain't the same. When you're in that locker room together and you're still playing for the A, or you're still playing for the G, or you're still playing for the T, by God, it is one of the most special things you could ever fathom. That beauty of shared sacrifice and playing for something bigger other than just a paycheck.
No
and it's just so important, man, because, the money's – I can't imagine, by the way, being one of these young men making $2, $3, $4 million as a college student. I was an idiot. I had lint in my pockets, and I was an idiot. I can't imagine being rich, at 20 years old or 19 years old. But I don't want to lose the spirit. That's the thing that has that lasting power.
Right.
Is the spirit of it. And those guys like Stevie and Danny Ratcliffe and Brandon Steele and Rayfield Milton, rest in peace, my brother, and Maurice and all these guys that I grew up playing ball with, Bucky Burton. We are still friends now and brothers now for one reason, and it's Spartan football and Steve Ragsdale. And so I never want to lose that.
No, I tell you, people ask me, I did this for 40 years. And, Coach, you'll appreciate it because you got a gentleman right there that can attest to this, having played for you. There's two things that bring you back in this business. When they said, why? Because, you're going to quit. I almost try to quit every day, whether it's playing or coaching. You put so much into it. I said, there's nothing better than the players you get to coach. And you know this, Marty and Coach Ragsdale and Rick, there's not a better place in the world to be in a locker room after a win.
Oh, yeah.
Not a better place. All that work from the managers to the trainers, players, coaches, that Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday work in high school, but that work that you put in and you're able to achieve that goal and the efforts and the sweat and the blood and the tears all come to fruition for a win. And there's no better place.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
No better place.
Coach, I think you've hit on something there. To me, football is the ultimate team game.
Make no mistake about it.
All those pieces out there have, whether it's offense, defense, kicking game, all those pieces have got to fit together just right. You can't depend on just one guy to make 3-point shots or whatever it is. It's the ultimate team game.
When I watch the games, even the college games, it really frustrates me, when a kid makes a play and they go off. And okay, fine, I got it. It's entertainment. But let me tell you, you'll appreciate this, Coach Marty. I think you'll appreciate it. When I got to Virginia Tech in 93, in 92 season, they beat Temple and JMU, and they had a really rough year. But the kids were trying to be like Miami back in the day of Miami.
Yeah.
And celebrating by themselves of plays they made, and they're getting beat. And I said, we're changing this. So I told as you would say, Coach, when you make a play, those other 10 guys allowed that play to happen.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want you to do is you find your teammates and celebrate with them. And basically what you're publicly doing is thanking them for doing their job. And we practice that. I practiced it. When they make a play, everybody had to go find everybody. And if you watch, the thing I'm most proud of on defense, if you watch our 93, go back, and whether it's the Independence Bowl. Or
Antonio Banks to the house.
Antonio Banks, baby. When you watch.
Guess what number he wore?
Yeah, there you go. You talk about celebrating the team celebration. Nobody defined it better than that 93 team from first game to last game. And that's as I'm proud of anything. I am so proud of that with those players.
But y'all I could go on for days on that. I'm going to shut up, I promise. Rick's probably like, God, shut up.
Oh, it's great.
But I'm going to tell you, just as I said to Coach Ragsdale, Coach, Virginia Tech football and what you guys did under Coach Beamer built an identity for our entire region and a pride for our entire region of Appalachia, because our region of Appalachia is often misunderstood. Yeah. There's this built-in chip on our shoulders that comes with that because we have these accents, and a lot of people would look at us and say we're backwoods hillbillies. And by the way, that was something that Coach used a lot. Coach Ragsdale used a lot to inspire us.
Sure.
When we were playing against a Blacksburg, or we were playing against a Christiansburg, or we were playing against a team from the other side of the state. Oh, boys, they think y'all are just a bunch of rednecks.
Absolutely.
So show them.
And they were right.
And they were right.
Yeah, and you were. Same thing in Virginia Tech. Right. Yeah, they were, Rick. Why I love coaching at Virginia Tech, it was a big ferrum to me. And I knew the kind of player going back to the Jerry Claiborne days of, you're playing with Virginia. Everybody wanted to go to the University of Virginia. If you didn't, you went to Virginia Tech, played football. And that's fact, back in the 60s and 70s. And I'll tell you, at Virginia Tech, you talk about the blue-collar, lunch-pail kid, and that's what we had. And Virginia, like in 1985, they got Mikowski, Dombrowski, Barry Ward, John Ford. We ain't got anybody drafted in the Army in 1985, let alone. And we went up to Charlottesville and beat them like a drum. And the next year down at Virginia Tech and beat them like a drum. We beat them so bad when we got fired at Virginia Tech with Coach Dooley. George Welsh interviewed me. He wanted to know what the hell we were doing. I said, Coach, we just had a kid back there that had a chip on his shoulder, like a Brandon Simonis.
Oh, what a beast.
And Hank Coleman from George Wythe in Richmond. who, again, we beat Afghanistan for these kids. I mean, I get the tech. I meet Simonis. I tell Bud, I go, what are we taking this kid for? He goes, it's Frank's nephew. I go, give the guy a raise.
Hey, Coach Elmassian, you wanted to say something to Marty about Ryan McGee,
yeah,
right? Real quick.
Would you do me a big favor? I really appreciate this. Ryan McGee, your cohort there.
One of my best
I
friends.
knew his daddy really well. His daddy officiated. I think he did one of our Farron games, but he was a great official, fun guy. I think he threw a couple of flags on me, and I established a professional friendship with his dad. And I didn't know it was his dad till somebody told me. They go, yeah, Marty McGee. Oh, yeah, that's his dad. I go, you're kidding. And when I would always go recruiting at Wingate, when he was the president of Wingate, I was always stop by his office and say hi. If you'll please relay to Marty what a first class.
I'll tell you what, I'll do you one better. It would mean a lot to Dr. McGee to hop on the phone with you and have a good old catch up. I'll get Rick.
Absolutely.
Dr. McGee's number.
Oh my God,
y'all can probably catch up.
Oh, that would be awesome. I love that
Absolutely.
man. I had more fun
Absolutely.
with him as an official, and I
He's
got
a great
chance.
man. And his son's a great man.
Great guy.
Yeah. We're just doing our best to not step over the line and get fired.
Sure as we all were. Stand in line and take a ticket.
All right, we'll leave y'all to it, Rick. Coach,
Yes,
thank you. I love you, bud. Thank you for everything you've done for all of us, and I look forward to next time.
Absolutely.
Same here,
Thanks,
Marty.
Marty Dog.
Back
Safe
up.
travels, brother.
A clinic for the ages.
Absolutely.
I've
Be safe,
enjoyed
Marty
it.
Dog. Thanks, man.
Coach
Take care.
Elmassian, good seeing you.
Great seeing
Thanks,
you,
Coach Rags. We'll see you
Okay.
next month,
Rick,
Coach Rags.
good
I'll be
seeing
in
you.
touch.
Okay, holler at me.
All right, brother. I will, man.
That's a
How good
classic.
was that?
Hey,
Huh?
you can archive that one. That's one for the books.
That's so good. It's just so good.
Honest to
It's
God.
just so good. Yeah.
Jeez, the memory. This is why I watch your show. This is why it's memory lane. That is a classic. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, that's great, Coach. And it was great. I mean, they don't ever need to apologize. I'm sitting here just you're living the moment. I played for a different coach, similar type of MO in Joel Hicks at Pulaski County, who I know you know well. So when Marty's relaying these stories, I'm thinking, it's all from the same era and the same cloth, right?
No question.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah. Jeff Williams played for me at Virginia Tech. He was a walk-on, was in the part of that 86 Peach Bowl class.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
I remember that.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. What we'll probably do, Coach, here, we might, if you have time later in the week, we might get you to bump back on a lot of things I want to go over with you.
Hey, listen, this was worth it. Trust me.
I know.
I mean, it
awesome.
was worth it. I will say one thing: Virginia Tech, 21-0 in the second half, and the third downs just killed them. They were
It was. What happened? I mean, what happened? You're 16-7 and everything's looking, and then all of a sudden they couldn't throw the ball one time.
Like Coach saying, it's a complete game, Rick, and offense and defense. You got to start complimenting each other. Some days or some parts of the game, it's a pendulum. Your defense is doing well, offense not, vice versa. The pendulum's going back and forth, as Coach Allen used to say. Well, the pendulum in the second half swung one way. And it never came back. And it all started with typical defensive coach, but it did start with the fact that if you 0 for 6 on third down conversions in the second half offensively, you're getting it's like having interceptions and fumbles. The ball's getting turned back over, and you're giving Louisville more snap opportunities. And next thing you know, there's 3 touchdowns. It's 21-0 in the second half.
Yeah,
that was in a nutshell, from a coach's perspective, that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, I will get in touch with you. We'll figure out a day maybe we can we'll jump back on here and continue our conversation. But
that was worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. I'm glad you got to, and we'll get that number to you. I know Marty will follow up. We'll get Dr. McGee's number to you.
Oh my God, that'd be a wonderful because he
will.
Wonderful.
Marty will. Yeah, there's no question. Marty will get that to you. But
well, thank you, Rick. You have a great day, and I know I appreciate everything.
I will. Yeah, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you later in the week, Coach.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan.
All right, thanks, brother. Phil Elmassian, great stuff here today. Thanks to Jermaine Ferrell. I mean, Coach Rags and Marty, it speaks for itself. You just get lost in the conversation. Same thing for Coach Elmo, and we'll get Coach Elmo back on. A lot of things I want to go over. We may have some coaching updates here very, very soon. Thanks to everybody who watched. Just please always go and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Like and share. Helps us out a whole lot. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. That had to make you feel better about your day, right? Thanks to Marty, Rags, Coach Elmo, and Jermaine. We'll see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition, everybody. College basketball, RU tonight, Tech tonight. There's a game going on right now. Queens is playing Winthrop. It's the marathon that started this morning. Carries through all night long past midnight. College sports. Wow. It's all kind of coming together. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.